cigarettes. Thanks.
To a smoker, it's a Kent.
Tem o ritmo de Lark.
As famous or infamous as they are to you, cigarettes are regarded as antiques and precious as far back as you could imagine. The puff of smoke that fills the lungs and warms the chest is a habit that a lot of us can't do without. There were some brands that were so popular and good in the past, but just like smoke, they disappeared into history without recourse. But for the lovers of smoke, in today's video, we'll be looking into infamous cigarette brands that have faded into history. Well, they can't really fade because they're timeless.
Testing company. Smoke the best. High filtration Parliament. Now popular price.
Parliament. At number 1 is one of the most iconic cigarettes of all time. The reason why it was so iconic was its name. It was once the official cigarette of British Parliament. It rose quickly in popularity because of the heavy marketing and advertising ahead of its time. If a big rise is not well maintained, it's bound to decline, and so it was for Parliament. It declined in the UK, but it didn't mean that it was completely eradicated from history. In fact, it still maintains a loyal and faithful following, specifically in Eastern Europe and Asia. The legacy lives on as it continues to be recognized and admired by vintage enthusiasts. What makes it memorable is its unique feature designed to reduce the amount of nicotine. That played a major role in its establishment because it applied to the health of smokers. And it was a luxury choice before its massive decline. Lucky Strike. Lucky Strike is another brand that has a rich history extending over centuries. As the name implies, Lucky Strike referenced the luck of the miner who hit gold. It was a distinct thing in the market due to its eye-catching red packaging, and it's been the same since first being introduced by James Buchanan Duke of the American Tobacco Company. The brand color red, which was bold and distinctive, made it recognizable and played a major role in the establishment of Lucky Strike in the market. What makes Lucky Strike so historically renowned is because it was the main cigarette during one of the most significant periods of history in humankind, the Second World War. It was the cigarette that kept the lungs of our men who fought the Great War warm and clear.
Reminding you to keep smoking Old Gold cigarettes. Thanks.
Old Gold. This brand, which was introduced by the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, is a household name, created due to the consideration that focuses on the affordability and quality of cigarettes. At the time, quality of cheap cigarettes had been in decline, so Old Gold came in to rectify that. The gold evoked the idea of rich quality and smooth flavor. It was highly valued because of its affordability, even after its decline remained as an iconic symbol of American culture due to its rather distinct gold design and packaging, which was cherished by advertising enthusiasts. With over 200 million daily sales, it was the best-selling cigarette before other brands came and toppled its interim rule in the market. Chesterfield. Just like Old Gold, Chesterfield was also acquired by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. The name was chosen because it was supposed to bring the idea of elegance, sophistication, and refinement, a reference to the Chesterfield sofa that was the idea of status, luxury, and comfort. It first became popular when it was discovered that President Franklin D. Roosevelt loved the brand, and it was in fact his favorite cigarette. The president held a touch to its brand name, its relevance never left, and it was still relevant until the mid-20th century with the C symbolizing the crown and value. But now, without a big celebrity backing, it seems to have dissipated into thin air, with only vestiges of what it used to be remaining in our memories.
Pall Mall International.
Pall Mall. With a rich history over a century, it was introduced by the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company and known for its luxury and sophistication, named after a famous street in London, the Pall Mall Street. The name was decided on to bring about the idea of elegance and quality. It was first popular because of its smooth and mellow flavor, until being rebranded to target price-conscious smokers. That meant it was cheap and of quality, and was loved even by President Harry S. Truman, which made it very much renowned. One of the few things that made Pall Mall rise to prominence was the innovative design. In 1939, the brand added 15 millimeters to the original size of the cigarette, which made it longer than most others and was a very attractive innovation because it was cooler, had slower burn, and made it look like they were superior. We can't forget that white and red packaging that gave the feel of royalty as you smoked it. It was indeed a good time for the company until it wasn't. It all began with the coming of many other brands like Marlboro, and the appeal and sophistication and ease of smoking, especially amongst younger smokers, declined drastically. Before the brand could do anything about it, it plummeted into obscurity.
Get the cigarette with a taste worth fighting for. Smoke Terraton with the charcoal tip.
Terraton. This brand had a compelling history spanning over 6 decades. They were popular for their particular feature, showing models with visible teeth that highlighted the brand's claim to be gentle. The brand's slogan, "We owe our success to our teeth," became a catchphrase and cultural reference point as it was referencing the English village of Terraton, known for its high-quality tobacco. This brand was popular in the mid-20th century, but it began to decline when health concerns began getting rampant. The decline was also coupled with sanctions that the government placed on the industry to make a more healthy cigarette, and it consequently reduced the quality of the brand, and slowly it became a brand of forgotten memories.
King size or extra longs.
All the taste, all the time.
Viceroy. First introduced in 1957, Viceroy brought about the feeling of luxury, high status, sophistication, and quality, as its name would imply. A high-ranking nobleman being a viceroy. It was one of the first brands to feature a filter cork tip, which made it popular, and the distinct colors of red and silver spoke volumes to the message it delivered. The logo is still admired and cherished today, but there were reasons for its decline. Health concerns and, like everything, consumer tastes began to change. And before Viceroy could keep up with everything new to draw more consumer attention, consumers simply moved on.
Ain't it the truth?
When you smoke true.
True. As the name implies, honesty, integrity, authenticity, and reliability, and it posed as a brand that was trustworthy as a choice for smokers. With one of the memorable campaign slogans, "True, the cigarette that's always true," and "the straight shooting cigarette." It rose to be one of the best-selling brands in America, which was valued because of its straightforward advertising approach. Notably, it was marketed as a low-tar cigarette because of the health concerns in the 70s about the adverse effect of smoking. However, since drastic changes many brands made to their products, the True brand has since gone extinct.
To a smoker, it's a Kent.
Kent. The Kent brand of cigarettes expressed the idea of quality, sophistication, and refinement, and it was highly sought out for its flavor and the special filter that it used. It was said to be more healthy and reduce nicotine and tar, making it a popular choice of people who were concerned about their health. Introduced in the 1950s with a promise of better quality and less health concerns to be avoided, it became a prominent choice, but it was still like the rest. People developed health issues as a result of smoking, so bit by bit they moved away from the brand.
Bel Air, Bel Air, Bel Air.
Bel Air. First introduced by the Imperial Company in 1954, Bel Air featured a distinct blue and gold color scheme linked with the brand. It was chosen to bring about the idea of luxury, sophistication, and coolness, symbolizing the brand's mellow flavor. It paid special attention to different flavors like Bel Air Deluxe, Menthol, Light, and more to satisfy customers. It was a relatively new development for brands to specify on flavors, and that brought in troops of people to them. However, many other brands began doing the same thing, which led to increased competition, and while it still be around today, it's not as prominent as it once was.
No wonder Lark is America's most popular new cigarette.
Lark. This brand was introduced in 1959, and the brand was to bring about the idea of freedom and joy, along with a carefree lifestyle. Its slogan depicted the idea behind the name Lark, the cigarette that's a breath of fresh air. It became one of the best-selling cigarettes, with another slogan of the brand that reinforced its commitment, Lark the Clean Cigarette. The brand was widely popular for its charcoal filter, which was unique, and it impressed people until it didn't, and gradually, with no new improvisation and more health awareness, it's rarely seen around today. Merit. This brand was introduced by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company in the 1970s. It brings about the idea of excellence, quality, and reward, placing it on a pedestal of first class. Just like with others that have been mentioned, it was marketed as a low-tar cigarette, which initially drew a strong crowd. But later it would decline. It was well known for its unique filter tip designed to reduce tar and nicotine, and even though it's lost to history, it will always be remembered, if nothing else, but for its name.
What's so modern about Montclair? The answer is in Montclair's modern menthol flavor.
Montclair. If you hear Montclair, you may think of something fancy. This was the approach the brand used when it came into existence, which implied the ideas of luxury, sophistication, and reputation. First introduced in the 1950s by the Lorillard Tobacco Company, it was referencing the wealthy Montclair neighborhood of New Jersey, and featured the slogan, "The cigarette with the flavor that lasts," referencing its smooth menthol flavor. Many people, after smoking, made use of mint, mouthwash, or anything that would hide the fact they had been smoking, and Montclair capitalized on this, making the menthol-flavored cigarette. It meant that smokers didn't need to go through the rigmarole of getting the stench of nicotine out of their mouth because it was already sorted out. Like every good thing, Montclair also disappeared into history.
When it comes to keeping a guy good company, there's almost nothing like a Winston. One taste, and it'll be you and your Winstons.
Winston. This brand of cigarettes was introduced by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. The name Winston was chosen because it was linked to the idea of leadership, quality, and tradition of the city of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, where the company was established. Known for a unique blend of tobacco designed to be smooth, sleek, and flavorful, it wasn't filtered, and even though it was something that was celebrated when it first came out for its real flavor, it quickly came crashing down as people found better and healthier options. Although it's still being sold today, it's not as popular as it once was.
Doral, your exuberant self-confidence is amply justified by your superb good taste.
Doral. Just like many other brands that came before it, this brand of cigarettes was introduced by R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. The name implies quality, refinement, and elegance, and it was to reference the Doral Golf Resort in Florida. It was one of those cigarettes with a filtered tip that has watched the health of its consumers. I'm sure you may be asking why such a healthy cigarette would go extinct, and the reason is not so far-fetched. More brands began tilting towards doing the same thing. And with this, the brand was lost in the high competitiveness of the market. Eve. Introduced by the Lorillard Tobacco Company in 1962, Eve depicted femininity, elegance, and sophistication. Just like the name implies, the focus was on female smokers, with a memorable campaign from the 60s to the 80s. Eve, the cigarette that's a woman's best friend. It was also known for a unique filter tip, which was said to reduce tar and nicotine. The brand color pink and gold was useful and intentional while targeting female smokers to evoke that feminine energy. But how many female smokers are there? Of course there are a lot, but not as much as males, and this practically reduced sales while consequently reducing them to rubble in history.
Maverick, American quality.
Maverick. Introduced by the Lorillard Tobacco Company in 1973, Maverick was made to depict the idea of independence, freedom, and stubborn rebellious spirit targeting young adults and youths. The slogan clearly spells out Maverick, unbridled spirit, and Maverick, the cigarette that's a rebel. It also was known for its unique blend of tobacco and distinct packaging that caught attention. What made it even more popular was the fact it was low in price. That made it easily accessible to everyone that were the focal point of the brand's advertisement. And here's a fun fact. Maverick was originally introduced in 1968 under the brand name of Harley-Davidson. Carlton. First introduced by the Lorillard Tobacco Company in the 1960s, the name invoked the idea of a refined man, sophistication targeting smokers conscious about their health. The slogan of the brand, which were Carlton, the low-tar cigarettes, and Carlton, the smart choice, sent a distinct message to the consumer, which meant the cigarette was low in tar and nicotine. This meant that it was relatively safer than many other counterparts. On this revelation, many people decided to go for the safer option, and this led to a huge increase in consumers. It was positioned as a healthier alternative, but the facade of being a healthier option would soon lose its appeal. It started when the government changed regulations and consumer awareness about the low-tar cigarettes, and in the 90s things went south. This was when the U.S. Food and Drug Administration began pushing for stricter labeling and advertising rules, which unequivocally made Carlton stop using the lie that low-tar cigarettes were better and healthier. Upon these changes, the brand began dwindling and now has little to no relevance.
Introducing new Virginia Slims, the slim cigarette for women only, tailored for the feminine hand.
Virginia Slim. This was chosen to invoke the idea of characteristics of sleek and fashionable cigarettes that targeted young adult women with memorable campaigns and slogans like Virginia Slims, "You've come a long way, baby." It was taken to be sensible, slim, and fabulous. Virginia Slim became one of the top-selling brands in the U.S. throughout the 80s and 90s, appealing to the idea of strong and independent women. It became a popular symbol for cultural uplift of women and was done by sponsoring events that supported feminism. One of those events was the Virginia Slim Circuit, now known as the Women Tennis Association. It made this brand gain a lot of traction from women back then, but consumer tastes have changed over time, and brand imaging has become different. The feminine movement that supported women smoking back then began moving towards a healthier way of life, which frowned upon smoking. Raleigh. The Raleigh brand of cigarette invoked quality, tradition, and refinement, referencing the city of Raleigh, North Carolina. As much as it was known for these things, it was also known for its distinctive packaging. It was endorsed by popular celebrities like John Wayne and Gary Cooper, placing trust in the American consumer. But that wasn't all that made it popular. It was because of the coupon rewards program. This made people attracted to the brand, but like all reward programs, it slowly became valueless, and as a result, there was no more attraction for people for the product. That's all for this look at cigarettes from the past. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you get more videos like this one in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.